Hello, YouTube. It is me, John Avenger, once again. You like my new Crash Bandicoot shirt that my sister bought me in Hot Topic? Well, basically, this is it. This is a rant I wanted to do since the summer when this movie came out this year. It was a 2017 reboot of a dark universe that we got this year that started off on the wrong foot, and that is the 2017 Mummy movie. The Mummy, to be precise. The 2017 version. What haven't I said about this movie with my friends in the best and worst of the summer? This movie was a train wreck from the word go. They tried to set up a cinematic universe with monsters, and they already did that back in the 30s, all the way to like the 50s. And I'm like, you can't do it anymore. Universal, why was this a good idea? You hired the dumbass, one of the writers that did the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he wrote some of the Transformers movies, I think the first two, and he directs this movie. And then you have one of the writers did Mission Impossible 4, and I think he did 5, and he also did the Jack Reacher movies. And I'm like, he can do better than this. I'm sorry, his action scenes in this movie are freaking pointless because they're just time filler. Basically, this movie was just one of the worst of the year, and I can easily say that because it's a freaking bipolar movie. It has no idea what it wants to be. 1 minute it's an action movie, the next it's a horror movie, the next it's a freaking mystery movie, the next it's a drama, the next it's a stupid comedy with cartoonish antics. I don't know what this movie is trying to be. You know why I loved Guardians 2? Because it was a comedy, an action sci-fi comedy all the way through. It didn't shift tones in the middle of the movie. Spider-Man Homecoming, it said, to hell with the dark tone of the freaking Amazing films. We're going to do a comedic, true-to-life Spider-Man movie, and that worked. That was a reboot that worked. This failed on every single level. Casting. You cast Tom Cruise as a younger man, even though he's 2 years older than Russell Crowe in the movie. How does that make any freaking sense? How, folks? How does that make sense? That's like casting freaking, Anthony Hopkins to play a younger man, and he's older than like Chris Pratt or something. Just out of curiosity. Yeah, I think Chris Pratt would have done a much better job with this movie. If you had better writers, a better director, and gotten rid of this dark universe crap, and it was just another, like a fourth Mummy movie without Brendan Fraser, it could have worked a lot better. Because at least Pratt is a younger man than freaking Russell Crowe. He's in his 30s. But they weren't thinking. The movie is horribly casted. You have Annabelle Wallis. Oh, man. You know why I didn't like Rachel Weisz in the second movie? Because they tried to make her something that she wasn't. But at least that movie has some things in it that I like. Annabelle Wallis, the whole time, she's got those dead eyes like Felicity Jones. She's like this the whole time. No expression on her face. Freaking terrible actress. I don't know why she gets work. She's horrible in this movie. She's supposed to be the love interest, scientist for Tom Cruise, and she does nothing. He doesn't even give a shit about her. So why should I? And again, British chick is a failure from default. Jake Johnson, who plays Tom Cruise's friend, they have no chemistry together. It's a lot of bitching and moaning. There's a scene where they're getting shot at in Iraq or whatever. And he's like, I'm thinking. And Jake Johnson's like, what are you thinking? And Tom Cruise is like, I'm thinking we're probably going to die here. And I'm like, oh my God. Who wrote this freaking movie? Who wrote this? That's not even funny in a sitcom from 2010. It's not. It's not funny. It's like, I was like, this is one of the most laughable scene in the movie. Isn't even with Jake Johnson. It's where Tom Cruise sees the mummy, played by Sofia Boutella. Bless her, she tried in this movie, but her explanation was just convoluted, and it's freaking pointless. And I know my friend Josh is going to say, this movie wasn't that bad. I'm sorry. Put the mindless action to the side and see the story. It's not good. You know what? Why these movies worked for the most part? Because they were consistent. The first movie is a fun action adventure with Brendan Fraser giving a kick-ass performance and some fun action sequences, some really good effects for the time, and it was about 2 hours long, I believe, 2 hours and 5 minutes, but it didn't feel that long. The second movie, while it's extremely flawed, but I don't hate the movie completely. I just think the movie's meh. I'd rather watch it again because at least the Rock's opening scene, Hakuma Shendi, when he's running into the battlefield, that's cool. This movie is the longest of the Mummy films, but it still felt like a Mummy movie. Imhotep was still the villain, and yeah, even though the shitty CGI Scorpion King looks bad, at least some of the film is still competent. Even the third one. You know why the third one I don't hate it? You know why I saw it in theaters? You know why I can still watch it? Because it's shorter and it's a better movie than this. If you take the recasting of Rachel Weisz out of it, Brendan Fraser's still a lead. He's still a younger man compared to freaking Tom Cruise here. It has energy. It does something different. Yeah, this one is basically what this movie should have been. This one is a flawed sequel, but it still has its moments that I can say that were entertaining, at least when I saw it in the theater. This one is in Asia, so it's different. It's not in an Arabic country again. It had great action sequences. It had some fun moments. It had humor that was not as forced as this, and it had a consistent tone. And my friend has this on Blu-ray. I'm glad I got this for $5 at a 7-Eleven. All three movies that are way better than this one. There's at least Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. It didn't have the mummy punching Tom Cruise into the sky, and he goes, woo, boom. I'm like, what the hell is this? This is a Looney Tunes cartoon now? Annabelle Wallace is like, kick her ass! And he hits her with a stick, and she uppercuts him like a freaking Street Fighter move or Mortal Kombat, and he flies into the air. There should have been like a, and then bam, and he hits the ground. I'm like, and yet Tom Cruise is not paralyzed after that. Yeah, this movie makes no freaking sense. Like, he dies, and then he comes out of a body bag, and he's not even scratched up or bloody or nothing. And naked, of course, because, yeah, I want to see Tom Cruise naked. No. Oh, my God, fuck this movie so hard. I mean, why was this movie made? Over hundreds of millions of dollars to recreate this movie, the freaking 1999 Brendan Fraser movie with, yes, the freaking girl. It's a girl mummy, so that's something different. But then she does these freaking force wind powers that have the freaking face from the 99 film. This was done better in 1999, and this is a remake of a 30s film, there's also a remake that there was a freaking Hammer version. Those are better than this freaking movie. And also, the movie is a ripoff of other films. It rips off Life Force, where basically they suck the life out of people so that they can stay alive, just like in Life Force. And I haven't even seen that movie. I've seen clips, though. They steal from American Werewolf in London, where Jake Johnson, Tom Cruise has to forcefully shoot him like this, 80s style, twice, and he keeps showing up as a ghost with one dead eye, and he's cursed, and he's talking to his friend. Yeah, that's from American Werewolf in London. I've seen that movie. I'm not an idiot. It also steals from The Birds, where the birds are attacking the plane scene. That plane scene is cool. I give it credit for that. That's one different scene that wasn't in the Brendan Fraser trilogy. But it's still stupid. I mean, basically, they're like floating. It's like the scene in Inception where they're like, they're going upside down in the building. That was cool. Here, he gives a parachute to Annabelle Wallace and she shoots out the window. I'm like, yeah, because you're not the lead in this movie. Cruise is. And he's in the plane crash and he doesn't die because he's Tom freaking Cruise. I can only suspend my disbelief for so much, and this movie jumped the shark within the first 30 minutes. And Tom Cruise is not likable in the movie. I like him as an actor, but here he's like, we don't know what his character is. He's not an archaeologist. He's a freaking thief. He's trying to steal stuff and sell it on the black market behind military, the military's back. And Courtney B. Vance doesn't even know a thing about it. And yet he's wasted in the movie. The black sergeant, he's basically wasted in this movie. A lot of people were wasted in this movie. Jake Johnson, freaking Courtney B. Vance, Sophia Boutella. Half the movie, she's either tied up or chained up, and she's looking like this. And why does she have like double eyes? What are you trying to be weak? Trying to be hip? Or trying to be edgy? I mean, this isn't edgy. This is freaking stupid. You know how Tom Cruise kills her at the end? It's not like in these movies. He kisses her to death. He's like, "Mwah," and she like goes dry like a freaking bone, like a freaking zombie. I'm like, what the hell is this? You kiss her to death? You're stealing from Batman and Robin? Oh my god! And then the mummies here is basically a bunch of CG Walking Dead knockoffs. You have the bugs, the spiders instead of the beetles that go into people's brains and eat their brains. You have freaking the like I said, the sand face, just like this. I've seen it already. I don't want to see the same thing, Hollywood. We already hated Ghostbusters last year, Busters, because you did the same freaking thing, just with women. This movie did the same thing. Russell Crowe is wasted. He's basically Dr. Jekyll, and then he gets pissed off at Tom Cruise, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Mr. Hyde." I'm like, it's Freddy's Dead bullshit comedy, and it's just it doesn't work. I'm like, you want to make him Nick Fury, and I'm like, he's not Samuel Jackson. I don't know what they were thinking. This movie pisses me off because it could have been a fun movie like this one, and even this one. This one didn't flop, people. It made over $400 million worldwide. That's more than what this movie made. And it was consistent. The only reason that this movie didn't make as much is because it came out a month after The Dark Knight. This movie had no freaking excuses. Oh, Wonder Woman killed it. It could have made a decent profit. But no, it's a freaking convoluted, over-expensive mess of a film that doesn't want to know what it wants to be. And the freaking writers, you need one freaking writer. You don't need 3 or 4 or 6. You don't need that many. You only need one good writer. It worked back in the day in the golden age of Hollywood. Why is it that this movie has 3 writers? I don't know. This movie is freaking stupid. It has no energy. It's freaking lifeless. Tom Cruise has these powers, just like the hobo, that come out of nowhere. Like he dies, and then he has like fangs, and he's yelling in Annabella Wallace's face. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And the whole beginning where she kills a baby, and this and the thing, what you call it, Sophie Botella's mummy, and she licks Tom Cruise's face. I'm like, what the hell, man? That's not sexy. That's just weird. She was way better in freaking Kingsman, The Secret Service. That's a better movie than this. These are way better. I would rather sit through The Mummy Returns again on a loop and hear the commentary, because at least that movie, they can explain what went wrong and also the things that they did right. This movie, it doesn't have a commentary for a reason, because Kurtzman knew he made a shitty movie. If Orsi didn't save him. You know why Star Trek 2009 worked? Because it didn't have 14 writers in it. Yeah, other than the lens flares because of J.J. Abrams, that movie worked. But they got lucky with that. When they did Into Darkness, you remade the Wrath of Khan and you put a stupid blood disease thing that Kurt's blood is so freaking special. No. This movie sucks. Josh, I know you like it. I'm sorry. That's fine if you do. I would never buy this on Blu-ray. I will just stick with the 99 film because it reminded me so much of that but in a way that's insulting to me. Just like with the new Star Wars. You rebooted a franchise that didn't need to be rebooted, and you have to make a new film, a recent film every year, and you're putting actors I don't give a shit about in these roles. At least Brendan Fraser's character wasn't an asshole in the first 3 movies. And he had his differences with Rachel Weisz and with his kid in the second and the third movie. But he was still relatable and likable. Cruise, I don't know what to think of his character. Jake Johnson, him and him, he's flashing a flashlight in his face and doing it back and forth over and over and over. I'm like, Kurtzman, what the hell were you thinking? And my friends like The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't know why, because it's freaking convoluted and overstuffed and boring and way too long. This movie tried to set up a universe in its first film and failed epically. It's sad when this movie makes Man of Steel look like freaking Superman the movie. You know why? Because at least Man of Steel, it didn't try to be 14 movies. It was just, to me, it was just a misguided Superman movie with bad CGI and with, too many flashbacks and et cetera, et cetera. I've already ranted on that, but it's better than this movie because at least it had something. This was an empty shell of the 1999 Mummy and the 30s version, which knew what it was. It was horror all the way. It didn't try to be a cartoon. It didn't try to be an action film. It didn't try to be a freaking mystery movie. It stuck with its genre. Here, it fails. Fuck this movie. Fuck the 2017 Mummy movie. I'm tired of these freaking shared universe crap. Marvel did it because they worked hard for it. DC, they're trying, and I hope Justice League, I hope for the best next week. But my God, you don't need everything to be a cinematic universe. It's not going to work. They tried with Dracula Untold. That flopped. It was decent, but it flopped. I, Frankenstein. That was going to be your Frankenstein movie, and it was a shitty freaking underworld knockoff with Aaron Eckhart with freaking abs. What does that have to do with It's Alive? Nothing. Here, you had a shitty reboot that was not needed. It was not needed. We didn't need a fourth Mummy movie without Brendan Fraser, not even a freaking cameo from him, or John Hannah, or Luke Ford in the third one, or freaking even Rachel Weisz. I give her credit in the first movie. She's bearable. She's tolerable. The second movie, they try to make her this badass like they did with Keira Knightley in the Pirates movies, sequels, and I don't buy it. If you're not a trained martial artist or you don't try in your fight scenes like Gal Gadot did in Wonder Woman, I don't buy you at all. And that is way better than this movie. There's a reason it made $400 million worldwide. I mean, domestically. Because Gal kicked ass throughout the whole movie. Even though the weak ending, she was not the problem with the film. Here, everything is a problem. It's one of the worst summer movies. It's one of the worst movies of this year. It's a shitty reboot. And you cannot convince me otherwise. Rotten Tomatoes buried this movie into the ground. It should have been left there, in the sand, in the desert, where Tom Cruise is like, at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, he's riding on a horse with a mask on, and there's a freaking cloud right behind them. What does that mean? I don't understand what that means. This movie is so freaking convoluted and makes no freaking sense. And it's a movie I wanted to rant on all summer because I wanted to rant on it at the perfect time. Letter M, The Mummy 2017 is a failure. Stealing from other movies. Boring. A pacing that just goes on like a freaking like being stuck in the desert walking in slow motion. It's not that long. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, but it felt like 2 hours. It did. It wasn't fun. It was just action scene, bad dialogue, bad comedy, bad freaking horror jump scares that don't work. Things that aren't explained. You know why episode 8 is gonna fail? Brian Johnson, I'm sorry, but you know why your movie's gonna fail? Because you're gonna explain too much. That's not gonna make your character any better. This movie didn't need too much. These movies did not need too much explanation. Imhotep is the villain in the first two. There you go. He was betrayed, and he had a love interest, and he's getting revenge. It's that simple. Here, they try to do 14 different explanations of why this mummy is evil. You don't need it. You need one motivation, not freaking 14. But like I said, I know I hate this movie. This is one of the worst films of 2017, and I will put it in my top 10, my bottom 5 of this year, at least in my bottom 5, because it's insulting to me as a fan of these movies. I'm a fan of them. Even the second one, like I said in my review, I thought it was meh. I would rather watch that again. And this movie gets shit on, the freaking third one. But it was years later. It tried something different. I like Brendan Fraser. I like Rob Cohen's direction because it was one director. It didn't feel like there were too many directors on it and too many cooks in the kitchen. And even though Rachel Weisz is miss, I still have fun with it. And it has beautiful Asian culture and freaking dragons and a gorgeous Asian girl, and it has freaking what's her face? Michelle Yeoh. She is way better in this movie than anybody in this movie. Because unlike Annabelle Wallace, who can't fight or do anything, she kicks ass in that movie at the end, and she's a likable actress. Annabelle Wallace, I don't know why you got credit. You did two shitty movies this year. This and King Arthur. Man, I really wish that they would stop making franchises out of everything because it's not working. I'll just stick with these three movies. All three of them. I'd rather marathon these and with the commentaries and see them again in pristine HD because these know what they are. Whether they pass or fail, they know what they are. Thank you. And I really enjoyed Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. When I saw this movie, I was like, you know what? I just want to watch the Brendan Fraser movies over and over again because they did not insult me and they did something different from the original 30s version. And the effects are better, except for the second movie with the bad CG Scorpion King. But other than that, it's way better than this. Waste of money, Universal. Go screw yourselves. You screwed up with Jurassic World. You screwed up with this. I'm done with you and your BS. And you're also screwing up with Fast and the Furious, making an eighth movie we didn't need. Paul Walker's dead. Move on. Make something different. But Universal's not going to listen because they make billions every year. I mean, Despicable Me 3 made them $1 billion this year worldwide. Yeah. Studios are never going to change. Disney, Lucasfilm, freaking Universal, 20th Century Fox in some cases. Yeah. Just let these old franchises die, please. Put us out of our misery. When a bad movie is reminding me of something superior, you know you have a problem. And this movie is living proof of it. This is the Fembusters of 2017. Yeah, not Beauty and the Beast, this. That movie at least looks good. I can say that without any question. This is shit. And it should be buried in the sand with this movie. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'm glad I got this rant out of my system. I've been wanting to rant on this movie for ages. I mean, it came out in June. That was 5 months ago. It's been on Blu-ray for months. And I hate it. I hate the cover. I hate the freaking cast. Well, I don't hate some of the cast. And I hate that it has three different tones. No, not an original idea besides the plane scene. And it's dull. But anyway, that's the 2017 Mummy film. I would just watch these. I highly recommend any of these because they're not this. And if they're not this, they can't be any worse. Later, guys.